Hello, listeners. Welcome to this episode of the CodeOp Podcast. CodeOp is an international coding bootcamp for women and trans and non-gender conforming people. We are headquartered in Barcelona, but we offer remote courses that can be done from anywhere in the world and that help people acquire skills to work within the tech space. My name is Anna, and I learned to code by doing a bootcamp myself, and then I worked as a developer before joining the awesome CodeOp team. So in this episode of the podcast, we chat with Beth Collins, a recent alumni of the 11-week full-time full-stack development program. And we recorded this episode in April 2020, so due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it was recorded remotely. But in any case, I hope you guys enjoy this chat between me and Beth. Hey, Beth.
Hey, Anna, how are you?
I'm good. So you did the CodeOp bootcamp. When did you do your
I did. Started in January, beginning of January, and finished on the 21st of March.
Cool. Do you want to just kind of introduce yourself, say who you are, where you're from?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Beth, and I'm from Manchester originally in the UK. But I moved to Barcelona in January to do the course.
Cool. So can you tell me a bit about what you were doing before the course? Like, did you study something else? And then what made you decide to learn to code and to come to CodeUp?
Yes, sure. It's a bit of a long story, so I'll try to keep it short.
I want all the details.
You want all the details? Okay. So I went to university in Liverpool and I trained to be a dentist, which was great at the time. And then when I started working, I just felt like it wasn't for me, really. I didn't get the right feeling from it. So after that, I decided to do a teaching as a foreign language course. And I moved to Vietnam and taught English there for like a year and a half. I knew that wasn't going to be kind of the long-term thing, but I just wanted kind of a break from professional life and to find out what I actually enjoyed doing. And then my best friend was living in Australia at the time, so I decided to move there. Dipped my toe back into the dentistry world and realised again that it wasn't for me. And then I came to visit my sister. I came home for a wedding and came to visit my sister who lives in Barcelona, and she'd done a boot camp, a tech boot camp a few months before, or maybe a year before. Anyway, and then she was like, I think you should do it. You'll really like it. It's cool. It's like really mathsy. Like I've always enjoyed maths and science, absolute geek. And she was like, do it. I think you'll like it. So I had a few months left on my visa, went back to Australia and then started teaching myself JavaScript, just like the basics on like Codecademy or whatever, while I was doing other random jobs. And then, I just really liked it. I felt like I got lost in it when I was coding. It's like time just sort of went by and I really liked it. So I was like, I want to do it. And then I was lucky enough to have my sister in Barcelona to sort of help with looking at boot camps. And she actually met Katrina and Julia at an event. She was like, I think you should have a look into the CodeOp one. And then I just really liked the sound of the whole like ethos of the company, how it's all women, and it seemed really like my kind of thing. And then they were starting one in January. This was probably in like November. They were starting one in January. So that was it. I flew home from Australia and moved to Barcelona.
Just for context, Katrina is the CEO of CodeOp.
Yes.
So that's an event. So weren't you kind of scared? Was there any point in time where you thought like, when your sister told you should learn to code, were you like, I don't know if that's for me? Like,
I think
on it immediately.
Well, I think it's because she was kind of like the trial run. I don't know, because we're obviously quite similar. And she'd already done it. And I just, before my sister had done it, I honestly didn't have a clue about like tech. I didn't even know it was a profession that you could just do. Do you know what I mean? I thought it was like computer science, people that have been doing it from like when they left university. I just didn't know anything about it. So when she kind of did the boot camp and then got a job, it made it seem a lot more sort of doable for me, I guess. So that was nice. Kind of had Anna to like encourage me. Anna's my sister, sorry, same name as you. And then I was scared. Like obviously it's a big thing to sign up for when you've never done anything in that kind of field before, but I think I don't know, I just got a really good feeling. I can't explain it. I did feel scared, but I was more excited, really.
And what was it like? What were the first weeks like?
I think that I was really nervous the first day we went in for orientation, which sounds weird, but I just remember being like super nervous on the walk there. I think just to meet the other people, and I just had anxieties about like everyone already having a tech background and that sort of thing. But yeah, on the first day I literally walked in, and then I remember being in the lift with like some of the girls and Ruth, who is kind of like the general admin manager lady. She was just, yeah, don't really know how to describe Ruth's job. She just does everything.
She makes everything. But yeah, that's what her job is.
Yes, she's amazing. Yeah, so I remember meeting her in the lift and just being like, she's so smiley and nice, and everyone was so friendly. And then the orientation was basically just saying like, it's going to be hard, but you can do it, and it's all about kindness and humility and all this great stuff. That, yeah, so then I felt immediately better. Like, as soon as I'd had the orientation, I was like really excited about going in again the next day, which was good. But yeah, I'd say I found lecture phase, which is the first 6 weeks, more like really challenging, just because you do like a topic in the morning, then you do your activities, then you have lunch, then you do a topic, and then activities. So it's like two seemingly unrelated at the time, like things, and you feel like your brain like just about starts to understand it, and then it's like, I'm moving on, and you're like, oh, I just want to be able to like do more activities and kind of get comfortable doing it. But obviously that's part of the process, is feeling uncomfortable and getting used to that kind of
yeah that's why it's called a boot camp, right? Like it's super intense.
Yeah, it is really intense, but it's intense in a good way. I mean, I think I thrive in like a classroom environment, and I really enjoy learning. So for me, it was great. Like, although I was super exhausted, and I didn't ever feel kind of like, you feel kind of like, what am I doing? But the support network, like everyone feels the same. Like everyone in the bootcamp is struggling just as much. Obviously, you have some people that pick it up a little quicker than others, but generally, like, there's going to be some days where you get it and other people don't, and then other days where they get it and you don't, and it's just like a bit of a roller coaster. But yeah, I never felt kind of too uncomfortable. It always felt like, this is okay. It's okay. Like, we can do it. We're going to get through it.
Yeah, kind of like you're right outside your comfort zone, but that's helping you grow and develop and get better at this new skill that you're acquiring.
Yeah, I think like when you first start doing it, you think that the whole bootcamp is just about learning code. But then the more you go through, you realize it's actually about learning how to like deal with not being able to do something. And you really notice like the way my emotion, because obviously your emotions are very like up and down generally in life. And I'd noticed some days like if I hadn't had enough sleep, or I hadn't been for a run, or I would always used to like every lunchtime I'd go for a 10-minute walk outside just to like not look at screens and just get outside. I thought it was really important. And if I didn't do that, honestly, like I would really notice it. In the afternoon, I just wouldn't be able to cope. I'd be like, I can't do it. And I'd get in this like really negative thought process of, I can't do it. That's it. I'm rubbish at coding. I'm never going to be able to do it. Whereas if you just kind of, I don't know, try and take a step back and I don't know, just go for a walk or do anything that's not looking at the screen. Usually when you go back to it, the answer is kind of obvious.
So you told us a bit about, or told me about lecture phase. What was project phase? So project phase is like the next 5 weeks or 4 weeks actually. How was that?
Yeah, I really liked it. It's cool being able to actually see your work kind of, I don't know, everything that you've been working towards actually materialize into something. I remember I think it was in week 5 or week 6, I don't know, it's when we'd done the front end frameworks and then done the back end, and we'd brought it all together, and I just had this like eureka moment. I was like, oh my god, I get it. It just came, like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I just suddenly felt like I understood how it worked. And then that was really satisfying going into my project, because I felt like I could actually understand how to make it all work. Yeah, and then the feature extension project was cool because I got, sorry, that was the buzzer of the house. Yeah, the feature extension project was cool. I got Zara's project, and she was like really like advanced. She'd done quite a bit of coding before, so it was cool to work on her code and see how she'd like organized all her code. And I got to integrate like Google Maps into her project, which was cool. Yeah, and then the collaborative projects is a lot about like teamwork and communication more than code, pretty much.
Yeah, the collaborative project, I guess, is the first time that you work with others in a coding project. And it's so important because at least if you decide to become a developer in a company or in a startup, and work with others, it's a huge part of being a developer. I don't think sometimes people don't really realize how much communication and collaboration goes into like development projects.
Yeah, definitely. And I think understanding, because up until that point we'd worked by ourselves, so you only know your own pace and you know which bits you understand and how long things are going to take you. But it was just working out in the team, like you kind of set the target to be like, okay, so by Friday we'll have done this, whereas that actually might be too fast for someone in the team. So it's really important to understand that like the pace of everyone is different, and how people learn. Like some people like to read a lot about something before they do it. Some people like to just dive in and give it a go and see if it works and stuff like that.
I also wanted to ask you about the career coaching and kind of like all the career activities. What were those like?
I was pretty sad in Career Week, to be honest, because it was when we went into lockdown. So the first Friday that we weren't allowed in school was my birthday, which I was so devastated about. And then we went into Careers Week and it was like virtual. I found it's kind of intense. Like I was thinking that Career Week could be like kick back, no coding, kind of relax, but it was, I'd say, probably the most stressful week for me personally, because I just find like thinking about the future and like jobs really stressful. But yeah, the help was great. Like we had the LinkedIn. I mean, I didn't have LinkedIn before I did the bootcamp. I didn't even know what it was. Like I'm so not technical at all. So that was like a big learning curve for me. Like I don't like to have like a big online presence like on Facebook and stuff like that. So to put myself out there on LinkedIn is kind of felt really unnatural to me. But yeah, it was really good. Like the advice that we got to do like the video of your app, I think really helps, and just giving you the confidence to like reach out to people on LinkedIn and make connections.
But now you're rocking it on LinkedIn. I mean, you have such a great article on there. You have a great video. What was the title of your article? Your LinkedIn, or it was a Medium article that you've posted on LinkedIn?
Yeah, it was an unlikely career change from dentist to developer or something like that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah, really. I mean, I've never written anything before, and obviously we're in lockdown, so I never normally would have time to do something like that. But I just thought people are always super interested into how I made that career change because it is very random. And I know a lot of dentists that are really like not happy in their jobs, obviously, because most of my friends are dentists. And some of them are like totally happy, but some I think struggle a bit and they don't know what else they could do. And I'm obviously not trying to persuade every dentist to be a developer, but it was just kind of an insight into like what happens when you do make a career change and you can end up finding something that is more suited to you, I guess. So yeah, the mock interview as well was with you, which was really scary. I was so nervous about that. It's like as nervous as I would be if it was a real interview, which is ridiculous. But it was good because you really put me on the spot. And after that, I spent a whole like 2 days basically going through the React documentation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just because.
Amazing.
Well, I started doing it anyway, because when you first start learning React, it's like you read the documentation and it kind of sounds a bit like a foreign language and you're like, what's going on? But then you start doing React and then you forget about the documentation because you're like, I know what I'm doing. And then actually then when I went back to look at the documentation, it all came together. It was like the final piece of the puzzle.
So I wanted to ask you, what is it about the tech world that makes you want to join it? So kind of, I mean, your sister also did a coding boot camp and she told you, this is cool, you should try it. But what made you think, yeah, I want to go learn how to code and possibly become a developer? What is it about the tech world or the idea of becoming a developer that was appealing to you?
It's just, I think it's how kind of forward thinking it is, and everyone is kind of treated the same. I don't know how to explain it. I think I'm used to being, when I went through dental school, it's very much like the tutors and the students, and you have to call everyone by like doctor such a body, and it's all very like professional environment. and you very much feel like an inferior. And especially being a woman, like I actually did notice when I became a dentist, patients would just not listen to what I was saying because I was a woman. Like, I don't know if it's because I was a woman, but I'm guessing so. Like, often I'd explain a treatment plan and what I wanted to do, and then the patient just wouldn't really be on board. So I'd get like one of the senior dentists who was male in to just clarify that what I was doing was right. And then as soon as he explained it to the patient was like, oh yeah, sure, yeah. And it's like, I literally just said that to you. And I feel like that is such an annoying feeling, like where you feel kind of there's nothing you can do about it, but patients just aren't going to trust you because of your age and because of your gender. Yeah, and I just feel like the tech world is just like not like that at all. It's basically nobody cares anything. You can have like bright pink hair and wear whatever you want. Nobody cares as long as you're like good at communicating and you're a nice person and you can write code. That's basically all that matters, which should be the situation in all jobs. But it's just really like, it's such a nice environment to be in, I feel.
I totally agree. I think one of the places where you see this really, really stark difference is in actual applications. Because when you apply for tech jobs, you obviously have the like interview where it's, you know, kind of about you and you kind of have to sell yourself and show, you know, that you'd be a cool team member to have. But on the other hand, the most important thing is the technical test. Because ultimately what they're really interested in is, can you code? Can we see your skills? Whereas in a lot of other jobs, it's just about like, how much can you sell yourself? How charismatic can you be? How bubbly or, persuasive. But in tech, it's really just about like, if you can do it, if you can code, we don't care if you went to a university, if you went to a boot camp, if you taught yourself. We just want to see that you can do the work. Or at least you can do, you can think in like a logical way and tackle problems and learn new things, basically. So
yeah, it's definitely. I know I wrote about this in my blog, but it is just the best decision I've made. I'm not just saying that for like the boot camp, but I just genuinely feel like I don't know what I would have done if I didn't do this. It feels like I should have known to do this years ago, but I just didn't even know the career existed.
Yeah. So tell me a bit about CodeOp in particular. So how did you decide to join CodeOp, like that boot camp in particular? And what do you feel like is the thing that is most special about CodeOp or differentiates it most from perhaps other boot camps or other educational experiences?
So I chose CodeOp mainly because my sister gave me a few options of like ones that she thought would be good, and I just really liked the idea that it was all women, because I think classroom environments can sometimes be a bit intimidating for women if there are like overpowering men there. I'm not saying every man in the classroom would be like that, but I just liked the idea. I feel like women coming together, it feels a bit more like a team. And also they were offering, I had zero money, so they were offering a scholarship to pay after when you get a job. So really that was the main thing for me, because I wouldn't have been able to do a boot camp for at least another like year or two after I would have saved enough money. Yeah, so that was probably why I chose it. And I think it's just the community of it. It's everyone, as I was saying before, everyone is just kind of seems like an equal, and everyone helps each other. There's no like competitive, horrible sort of atmosphere. It's just everyone's there to help. And as I was saying, like some days you might feel like you're struggling on something and someone else gets it and they'll help you, and then another day you can help them, and it's that kind of nice sort of friendly vibe. And we had German Al as our main instructor, and he is just the best. Like, I can't even explain how good he is as a tutor, but he just really knows he's got so much knowledge, and he's obviously been doing this for years, but he really knows how to break it down into like easy to understand chunks, and he's just so easy to approach. And yeah, it's just great. And Amefa as well, she's with like the teaching assistant, and she'd been through the boot camp, so she was kind of knew what you were feeling. She felt it a few months ago, and she could really help on that side of it and be like, don't worry, like this is how I felt, you're doing great, you're on the right track. And that really helps, I think, make you feel like, oh, it's really, really hard, but everyone feels like this. It's not just us. Because at the time you're like, we don't get it. We're all so rubbish. We're never going to be able to do it. But then MF is like, you're not. You're doing fine. And that reassurance is just sometimes what you need. Yeah, and it's just like a big family, really. Everyone's, you feel like if you had any problem or you're having a bad day, you could go in to see anyone in the office and be like, I'm feeling crappy because this happened, and they would be there for you. Yeah, it's very kind of warm atmosphere, I would say.
And what was your cohort like? Because you guys were a really cool group.
Yeah, it was really cool. I wasn't expecting it, to be honest. I thought it would be more kind of people from Barcelona. I actually don't think anyone was from Barcelona. Oh yeah, Dana, she was from Salamanca, not from Barcelona, but yeah, it was just really diverse. It was crazy. Had like people from Kenya, Romania, Hungary, England, Mexico. Am I forgetting anyone? India. Yeah, and like the difference in cultures in the room. Obviously, I don't know, when you're coding and you're all in the same boat, you just all have like a really great connection. I hope that we'll stay friends after this because I feel like we went through a lot together. But yeah, it was cool.
I
don't think
experience.
Yeah, and I really don't think at any time in my life I've been in a room with people from so many different backgrounds. Like, it was just crazy to see, like, I don't know, people who have had such different life experiences but all doing the same thing. It was really cool.
I wanted to ask you if you could say something to someone that's interested in learning how to code, but they're still kind of doubting it, or they're doubting themselves. They think that perhaps they're not the right person to learn this kind of skill. What would you say to that kind of person?
Well, I just say that, like, anyone can do it. Like, in our cohort, as I just said, there couldn't have been more different people, and everyone did it. Like, we all had different backgrounds, like different learning experiences previously, and we all managed to somehow get through it. And yeah, it might have been a little bit easy for some people. Like, that's naturally, some people's brains work differently, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it if that's not how your brain works. Like, you just train your brain to learn in a different way, and you do get there. So just don't be disheartened if you think that it's not something that you can do. Like, oh, I'm not good at science, or I'm not a logical thinker, or I'm not this. Like, there were people on the course who, like Sandra, one of my best friends on the course, she did like a photography degree before, and she'd never really like done anything with maths or science or anything. And by the end of it, she was like fantastic at doing like the back end side of it. And it was just great to see, because she thought like, oh no, I'm going to be front end, I'm going to just do the design. And then she was actually really good at doing the like databases, which was really unexpected, and it was great. So yeah, just don't put yourself in a box and say that's not something I can do. My brain doesn't work that way, because you just train your brain to work in whatever way. Yeah, some people naturally have it, but it doesn't mean that you also can't with some hard work.
Awesome. Beth, thank you so much for sharing your story about how you got into learning to code and what the boot camp was like. And yeah, I think that's a wrap.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. If you want to find out more about CodeOp and the programs we offer, visit us on our website, codeop.tech, or any of our social channels. And if you want to get in touch, give us a call, message us, or send us an email at info@codeop.tech.